Hi everyone, welcome to the next video from this page from Rita Berman's autumn book, also in her compilation book. I think it's called Hidden Seasons, the English language edition, but also Mein Spaziergang und Jahreszeiten. Memory, good. Anyway, we're going to do this next tree. Now we've been using the Castle Arts Gold pencils. Now we're going to go slightly darker with our browns on this one. Now where did we get to? Just need to check what the last one was that we used yesterday. We used brown ochre. Oh yeah. Okay, so we were using those. So today, yeah, I know where we are. So it's been an overnight, so I've forgotten everything. You know how it is. Walnut brown light is where I'm going to start. Now, as with all of these, I'm going to do the trunk in the lightest colour. Got quite an interesting looking trunk on this one, which we don't actually have so much room for doing much on the others. I'm actually going to do this one quite lightly and then maybe put a bit of a pattern into it. Maybe a bit like we did on here. You don't have to, you could make it dark on the edges to make it look a bit more rounded, like more like a sort of proper trunk. I'm just gonna play around with this pattern a little bit, make it darker on the lines and then a bit lighter coming up, and it gives it a little bit of texture. It's a bit of fun as well. So hope everyone's well today. Had a bit of a short morning, to be honest. Well, spent a lot of it in bed. Now we normally do the line around the edge as well. We don't have that on this one. So we're going to dive straight into our next colour, which is going to be the Van Dyck brown. Here it is, Van Dyck brown. Now, just looking at these shapes and things, I think what I'd do is I'm just going to dive in and colour these bits. Okay. Yeah, well, my son didn't get off to sleep very well last night, and so he slept in. So I didn't get up. My other son was asleep. Husband was asleep. So I just sat in bed and chilled. Yeah. Played some games on my phone, tablet actually, and did a few other things on there and just chilled for hours. Didn't get up till 9:30. I felt like half the day had passed, but actually it's, you know, it is Friday, no one's out today. Will be different next week once other son starts uni, but it's just nice to have a bit of a chilled start to the day, really. It's something I rarely do. And so by the time we'd eaten breakfast, my goodness, it was late. So we had lunch at 1. Just felt really late. Now I'm going to use the walnut brown to do probably most of the rest. I'm just looking at my swatch chart. Yeah, because I need to save some colours for this little tree. I want to do each of these triangles in this colour. So what I'm going to do, because I want them to look, I want you to see the difference between each triangle. So I'm going to put a much harder layer around the edge and then fade it towards the centre a little bit so we can sort of define those edges. And then it will look like we've actually done something with each triangle rather than just colouring them in and trying to make them look like they're all one thing, which they're not. So yes, once we'd had breakfast, husband went off to town. He had to pick up his meds, but he also went into a few shops and enjoyed himself. I think sometimes he needs a bit of a time on his own, you know. I mean, obviously he gets time when he's driving to and from work, but it's not really sort of proper time, is it? He's sort of, it was sunny autumn day. He wandered in and then just sat and enjoyed listening to a busker, and said town seemed to be full of tourists, which was quite interesting. We don't really get them very much, so he just said they didn't seem like locals. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, people that live in our town aren't normal, and these people look like normal people. Oh dear, he's sort of right-ish. But, but there we go. But yeah, he had fun. He bought a few things. He bought some badges to go on his work lanyard. He went, there's a market on a Friday. He went in there and talked to one. Actually, it was a very interesting idea. The guy who was selling, he makes enamel badges himself, but he'd sold out of his own designs. And what he does is he knows other people that make them as well, and they swap, so that they have a bigger variety of designs. They're more likely to sell some rather than just having a big stack of their own. So they swap, and so they weren't actually his designs, but he bought a few, and he went into the fairy shop. We have a fairy shop in our town which sells crystals and fairy things. I don't really know, I haven't been in there for ages. Anyway, and he was looking at the crystal ball that he wanted. He wants a crystal ball to take to work as a joke, just sort of try to explain to people that about clarity and about how you can't predict the future, or maybe you can, or you have to think about the future or something like that. I didn't really understand it. So he was trying to buy one, but she was trying to sell him a quartz one, and he was trying to explain to her that he wanted one that was clear to demonstrate clarity, but she very much believed in the whole crystal healing sort of thing, which he doesn't. You know, we were talking about it, and none of us do, but we see no harm in it. It's probably a placebo, but that's okay, as long as people aren't abandoning traditional healthcare, traditional medicine, thinking that it's going to replace it, or traditional help if they really need help. But for something that they, you know, can give you a little bit of a boost, then I think why not? You know, my mum's got some quartz, rose quartz, I think, that her neighbour gave her. I can't remember what she said it would do for her. Her neighbour's sort of, you know, qualified in this sort of area, as is my cousin's wife actually, but I don't see her because she lives in Australia. I'm going to do one final colour for this bit, and then we're going to work on the clouds. Is it the permanent brown? Yes, permanent brown. Here it is. Now again, we've got a stripe, a bit like here, so we're going to use the same method. I think it's quite nice to do the same method through. So put on a light layer, permanent brown. I think I'm going to start at the bottom and then sort of fade up to each of the next lines. I was thinking I'd need loads of colours for this one. It's not a lot in there, is there? There's a bit down there, I suppose. But that's okay. I'll sort that out tomorrow. There we go. Now we've got to go up to the top and look at the clouds. We did the raindrops yesterday. There we go. And we've got clouds to do today. It's quite a lot more than yesterday. So the colour, well, let's have a look at what we've got here. So we've got the sort of warm greys, Davies greys, that sort of colour, the browny greys. We've got this blue grey, which is also quite brown. And then we've got these the cool greys, and the sort of one that's silver. That one there is actually silver, that one. Now I'm thinking about clouds, and I think they're more often a cold grey than a dark brown grey, although I have seen them very warmy brownish, but I'm going to go for the dove grey. I just like it. I think it's going to look nice. Hope so anyway. Where is it? There it is. So dove grey, and what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to leave this cloud and this cloud in white, and I'm going to colour all the other ones in this dove grey, and I'm going to put just a layer all over them to start with. Not too hard, not too soft. Enough so we can see there's some colour there, but not too hard in case I decide I want to do something a bit more with it rather than just colour, if that makes sense. Now tomorrow I've got the very difficult decision of what to do with the rest of this background. I've been pondering it for the whole page, and I still haven't completely decided what to do, because it's like, what, under the clouds? So would this be blue sky? But if it's a cloudy, rainy day, you can't see blue sky because the clouds are all over the place. So would the sky be grey? And if so, then how is it going to look any different to this grey that we're doing now? And yeah, so this is what I've been pondering, having a sort of semi-argument with myself, not an argument, you know what I mean. I'm wondering what to do with it. I had thought I could just do it blue as if the clouds were above the blue sky, but I think that would look quite odd. So decided against that idea. And then wondering whether I could leave it white. You know, quite often when it's raining, it's just white in the sky. You know, the clouds are just like, it's dull and white and you can't even really see any texture in the clouds. So sometimes that happens. So that was another thought. But I think it might look a bit boring. So yeah, this is the sort of conversation I'm having to myself at the moment about the page. Right, what I'm going to do with these clouds is I want to add a little bit more texture to them. Ooh, my toes gone a bit funny. But I'm not going to do the stripy thing like we did with the trees. I'm going to make it a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is take each little section of cloud in its own sort of whole section, and then just try and outline the edge where it's overlapping, and then sort of fade it a bit like that. So it still gives it a bit of texture, but we're not doing the same thing. You could do the same thing, there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to do something a little bit different so that it doesn't look the same as that down there. You might think it would be better if it was the same, and that's absolutely fair. If you want to do it the same, then absolutely do it the same. Sounds like my husband's just eating his lunch. It is 2:30. I mean, I know we were all up late and ate late, but I said to the children, let's eat at 1, and then or else we won't have an appetite for our tea later. You know, we've got to sort of catch up at some point. And I did some veggies, and there was some hummus to use up, and so they had that. I had some veggies. It was just some sugar snap peas and cucumber left over from lunch boxes in the week, and I just got to sharpen up a bit. And then yeah, there was a roll left over as well, so they had that. So it was toasted, and they had a sort of toasted roll with it. So it wasn't a huge lunch. It was just a little something, keep them going till tea time. And tonight I'll probably just throw some things in the oven. I'll probably just put some chicken in the oven for them. And well, actually they can do it for themselves. And do some veggies in the oven as well. So I've got to use up all the sort of veggies that we've got left over from the week because it's shopping day tomorrow. So that'll be easy. I've got broccoli and carrot. They can be boiled, and then I've got parsnips and sweet potatoes and peppers and mushrooms. Roast those, it'll be nice. Making you all hungry, maybe, if you like that sort of thing. Now, I have left these bits as white gaps and these also as white. I think that works. I'm happy with that look. You can obviously just do them in the same grey or use a different shade of grey if you want, but I think I'm going to leave it. I can decide for sure when I do the rest of the background on the page, but for today I am going to leave it there. Oops, we usually zoom into the tree, don't we? There we go. Ooh, there it is. So yeah, I'm going to leave that there for today, and then tomorrow it will be the last video. We'll be finishing the page. I will be doing a background. I won't be leaving it white, just because I want to try something and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then you don't have to copy it. You know, I'll experiment on your behalf. Right, but thank you for watching today. Enjoy the rest of your day and happy colouring.